Hi everyone, my name is Heather and I'm a vlogger, creator, and entrepreneur, and I'm documenting my entrepreneurial journey through vlogs on this YouTube channel. If you're watching this video, it's probably because you just listened or watched my vlog about podcasts, and in this vlog, I'm actually going to include the audio for the first and only podcast that I ever recorded. My show was going to be called Kickback Chats, and it was targeted for millennials, and the show was going to be about the deep conversations that millennials want to have with each other, but they just don't have time anymore because they're deep in their career, or they've started families, or they're buying a house or whatever. They're doing millennial things, and so that's what that podcast was supposed to be. It was about just exploring different issues and topics and getting interviews and stuff like that. I stopped doing it because it was interview based, and it was just really hard to get a hold of the people that I wanted to interview. It is something that I want to pick back up again, but for now I'm really liking vlogging. But it's funny to listen to this podcast. I haven't listened to it since I recorded it, I think back in April, and I was just listening to it this morning, and it's just so funny because, this was way before I learned everything that I know now as an entrepreneur, and if I re-recorded that episode, it would be nothing like it is. So I think it's just funny for you as a Heather subscriber and fan, for you to listen to something that I created during my humble beginnings. In the podcast, I interviewed my roommate Pranka, and the topic that we talked about was ageism in the workplace. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I'll catch you guys later. Bye.
So ageism sucks, but we can beat it.
Hi everyone, welcome to Kickback Chats, a show where we make time to have those deep conversations of being all grown up. I'm your host, Heather Ramirez, and today we're talking about ageism in the workplace. So I'm a millennial, and most of you listening are probably millennials. And actually, I just got back from a marketing conference where they define millennials as being anyone between the ages of 18 to 35, which I find odd because I'm 30, and it's weird being in the same category as an 18-year-old. But anyway, millennials have this bad reputation for a lot of things. We feel entitled, we have no direction, a lot of us move back in with parents after college, and we're kind of living in our own bubbles. Now, I don't know if this is because I'm a millennial or if it's the same for any generation, but there's definitely been instances at work where I felt like I've been treated differently because of my age. And to kick back with me about this, I've invited my roommate Pranka to the show. Hi, Pranka.
Hi. I'm here to kick back with you and chat.
Awesome. So everyone, this is my roommate Pranka. And could you tell everyone a little bit about who you are?
Who I am? What a loaded question. Let's see. Since we are talking about ageism and the workplace, I guess I'll tell you my workplace self. I am a manager at a very, very known entertainment company, and I manage over 150 people. I began my career in a management position when I was really young, so it was quite odd managing people that were older than me, younger than me, my age, different stages of life. So,
how old are you?
How old am I? I just turned 27.
You had to think about that.
I did. I was going to say 26, and I'm not 26. I am 27.
So you are a millennial.
I am, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, when I began going into my career, I was 23. And I was starting in a management position. It was a little unheard of for a lot of people. So I had a lot of real life experience, I guess, with millennials and being a millennial in the workplace, which I didn't even think was a thing until I started working. And
what do you mean it's not a thing?
Like, I wouldn't have ever thought of, oh, I'm managing millennials, or I'm a millennial in the workplace, until you start working with people that are way older than you and dealing with people that are adults. I guess that's the thing. I still don't really think of myself as an adult, which might be a millennial thing. But when I went out of college and I started my career, I found myself being friends with people that were like 15, 20 years older than me, in their 40s, they had kids, they had families, they were married, and that just seemed odd. Because before, you're only friends with what? Like, your douchebag friends that like don't
your
do anything.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're in this field of people that have actual lives, and you're like, oh wow, they're so grown up. When you learn to find out, oh, guess what, I'm grown up too.
Yeah, so, okay, for me, you know, the ageism, like I said, I've had things at work where I felt like people look at me like I'm not well-versed in my job, my life, my position, because I'm younger. And, you know, I definitely give credit to the people who have worked 20 years in their field or whatever. They just have like all of this under their belt and stuff, and that's great. But nowadays, there's so many things that didn't exist before in the workplace, like technology, social media, all these things that, you know, I don't think it's fair that just because I don't have necessarily 5 years of experience in social media, I don't know what I'm doing. And that's like the ageism that I've experienced.
We come into these jobs brand new and kind of fresh-faced and bushy-tailed, and, you know, the sky's the limit, and we kind of come in having no fear. People look at us like we're naive and that we don't have any life experience to back up what we're doing. But I really think we just like challenges, and we like experiencing new things, and we like the thrill of almost the unknown sometimes, and we do it. And a lot of these people that are in the workplace already, so the older generations, they just credit everything to seniority, really. You know, I've been there, I've done that, when really, yes, you've been there and you've done that, but have you now grown with the times? Have you adapted? And they haven't. They kind of just are stuck where they're at. So I definitely see ageism in that. It's more of a first impression I think people have when they see a young person doing a powerful and important job. They lose confidence because they think that we haven't lived enough to know.
Okay, so I think I don't want to say it's a problem, but it's brought up a lot to me, is that I look very young. So I'm 30 years old, but you know, I get carded everywhere. I've worked with high school students for the past couple years. Time and time again, I'm mistaken for being a high school student. People ask me like what grade I'm in and stuff like that.
A wonderful curse.
I just have a very youthful look. And you know, because I recognize that, I think I make an effort to look older as much as I can in the workplace. And whether it's putting more time with makeup in the morning or, you know, my outfit choices or whatever, it's like, you know, not only do I want to look professional, but I also want to look more mature and older. And, you know, that affects my choices before going to work.
I would agree. I think it really affects how your peers and your leaders talk to you. I work in a corporate environment, so it's suit and tie, you're suited up daily, and that's just not my thing. Like, I wouldn't go buy a two-piece suit from Macy's, and that would not be like my look of choice, right? So to give it a little bit of edge, which I also think might be a millennial thing, and make it my own, I would, I don't know, wear different black studs or do something different with my hair, or maybe wear a pleated skirt with I don't know, just something different than maybe what everyone else is wearing.
Your traditional...
Yeah, your traditional suit and tie look. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm still holding the same position as someone else would. And definitely for me, that has affected people that look at me just because they might be thinking that I'm not traditional, or I don't follow rules, or whatever it might be.
So I do the same thing. Like, I'll be super decked out professional, but I'll throw on like my sneaker wedges. And I do want to say that it almost works in my favor because, you know, it makes you look unique, you know, and it's kind of like, okay, well, this person probably does things out of the ordinary, comes up with new ideas, you know, puts their own spin on things. I mean, I can see it working the other way as well, but at least in my experience, it's been a good thing.
I think it's been both. So it really depends on those people that have kind of given in and being like, the future is now, and everyone is not going to be the same little robot that works in the corporate world, and they're fine with it, and they think you're unique or you're eccentric or you have something exciting about you and creative. But the way that I guess, have seen it in a negative way has been I have employees. I have 150 employees that some of them are around my age, a little younger, and they look to me because they think I'm cool and I'm fun and they want to hang out with me. So that becomes a little bit of my peers and leaders think I lose my authority because they're not being asked to go out and party or being talked to about clubs or like things of that nature, and they think right away that means I don't have authority, when really I still do. They can think all they want about like me being a cool person, but
the respect is still there, the trust is still there as you as their manager, but you have more of a camaraderie with them.
They feel more personable with me because I'm able to talk to them about different things or show enthusiasm on the same things they like.
So have you had conversations with your peers who are in similar positions about this?
I think majority of my peers that are in the same position, we all feel pretty much the same way. One of my friends I can talk pretty openly about, we both started in our management careers around the same time. She's a couple years older than me, but she kind of took the traditional route where she was very in line with things, very kind of almost passive and just went along with the way things were, kind of black and white, right? And I strayed a little bit of a different path where I was a little bit more vocal. I was a little bit more innovative. I was trying to think outside of the box. I was wanting to do creative things that maybe they hadn't done before. But one of the biggest things, I guess, had to be that I was a little more vocal with what I thought should be done compared to what wasn't being done. And I think that's where people get the idea that millennials are entitled and they think they don't have to put in the time. Like, I think it all stems to that. And that's not it. I think we just push boundaries. And it's not because we think we're way better than people. It's just because we think no one else has tried.
And why do you think that is? Is that like, why is that? I mean, I think my first instinct for that is because we have the internet.
I was just going to say, yeah.
That's opened our eyes a lot more to just so many different situations, so much more knowledge, and we read up on other people's experiences a lot more often than, I guess, the previous generation without that power of the internet.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. I think we learn so much easier and so much quicker than other generations, and that a lot of it's because of the internet. I could not know something, 2 minutes ago, and I Google it real quick, and now I know everything about it, and I can talk to you about it like I know my shit, right? And
right.
So you can fake it till you make it pretty much now, and we're pretty good at it. Right. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that I did not know in my career that I literally would just spend an hour Googling or researching or versing myself on, and then if you can talk the talk, people think you know what you're talking about. Right. And that might have also threatened other generations into being like, how does this person know so much? Or they think they know so much, maybe. Maybe they really did know that we were kind of faking it, but that's kind of what you have to do sometimes to get by, so.
All right, so I used to work for an organization where my boss was 80 years old. So I know that, that's just a huge age gap. But I mean, needless to say, the ageism was like
insane.
Was constant, yeah. and like I love her to death. I respect her so much, and she's definitely been an incredible leader that I've learned so much from. But there were so many times where I felt like it was just the condescending comments and just like, oh, honey, you don't.
Oh yeah,
let me tell you,
dear, so many times.
And I mean, the way that I chose to deal with it is just reminding myself that I do have to give credit where it's due. And I noticed that with her, it made her feel good to feel like she was sharing her knowledge with me and being kind of like, a teacher and feeling valued in sharing, and teaching me something. Yeah, exactly. So even though I knew pretty much like everything, or I could find out, like you said, Googling, I could find out, whatever she was teaching me. I just sat through it and was super appreciative whenever she would have conversations like that. And just I think that helped build the relationship and build the trust that I could do whatever I said that I could.
I think, no, that's huge. There's a difference between coming in and being asshole and arrogant and acting like you already know what the hell you're doing, but you know that there are people that have put their like sweat, blood, and tears into something, and it wasn't easy for them. So yeah, giving them credit and obviously almost kind of placating the situation to make it feel like you are learning from them, they are learning from you, building that respect and trust, that's completely accurate. And I think people that maybe have given millennials a bad name have been those people that walk in just being like, you know what, I've done this before. UC and I have a BMW because I started this app where you like find the nearest stop sign to take a photo with, like just weird random shit that we do, which is cool and fun and awesome, but none of that like gets you any credit with people who have put in real hard time at places, you know? So you have to go in there still willing to learn and kind of be humble about your position and what you're doing. And I think that helped me a lot also, is because like I had said, when I started, I was young. I was a young manager. You could tell I was fresh out of college, but they obviously saw something in me to put me in a management position. And I had employees that were twice my age. They were, 40, 50, 60 even. And they looked at me and they did the, oh, honey, like, oh, you're so cute. Or this is how we do it. This is how we've always done it.
This is how it's been done.
Right?
Right.
And the way to not go about it is say, well, now we're not doing it that way. Or, well, this is how I'm going to do it, or this is how I was taught to do it, kind of a thing. They will get defensive, and it's just, you will be looked at as a royal asshole, if you do that. So you go in and say, well, why do you do it this way? Ask questions and get to know them. And you said relationships. I think that's the core of almost everything that we will ever talk about or ever deal with in our lives comes down to relationships. Like, how do you deal with people?
Right.
How do you talk to them? How do you make them feel? How do you react to them? And I think that's core of almost every job.
Okay, so I think like for me what's really worked is just having people judge you on your merit. At the end of the day, if you do good work and people see that, then that'll allow them to look past your age. And I think like for a lot of people, at least in the organizations that I've worked at, which have been relatively small nonprofits, they just haven't had millennial yet on staff. And so it's kind of like when this young person comes and there's a significant age gap between everyone else on the team, I don't know, like I feel like people come to me for like technology questions, but then they don't trust me with like the bigger decisions,
Right.
So, what I've done is just, I just have put in the work, and eventually people will see that, oh wow, she can do a lot of things.
And I think that's true everywhere. But I think one of the biggest things, you mentioned technology, is annoying for us, or for me anyways, is in the workplace when you're put up against something where your leader or your boss is coming to you, which is good because you're a resource to them and you want them to be doing that, but they're asking you how to space their Word document or how to
copy and paste,
how to forward an email to someone. Right. It's those things that kind of make us roll our eyes and we're like, how did you get this job? Yeah. And I've had to step back and actually think about it, that in my like specific case anyways, that these people have been with this company for 30 years and they worked their way up, and that's how they are in this role. They weren't fresh out of school and got this role, And so I'm in a lateral position with these people who, again, worked from the bottom to the top, and they really didn't learn a lot of these skills because I guess it was not that important to them. So again, you kind of bite your tongue and you help them and you do what you do, but then on the side, we sit down and have a kickback chat about how annoying it is that I have to help somebody put a period at the end of a sentence. Or how many ellipses you put in a sentence. That's one of my biggest annoyances.
Oh, the ellipses?
Yeah, when people just put like 7 or 8 periods, and I'm like, why? What are you doing?
Seriously, one of my old bosses would just put an ellipses after every sentence, and it was like, okay, all you're doing is asking whether this meeting is happening, but by adding the ellipses, all of a sudden it's like, what is this meeting about?
It's a mystery. Yeah. And one of the other things, which, see, this is the thing, it's someone that's higher than me, and they send emails constantly where at the very, very end they say, let me know if you have any questions? And they put a question mark at the end of questions. And it drives me insane because I'm like, that sentence is not a question. Just because you are saying the word question does not mean you add a question mark. And I'm not in a relationship with that person to be like, listen, like this is not proper grammar. But even that's not like technology stuff. That's even just like simple things that I think you come across. But if you were to say something, they might be like, who is this youngin' thinking they know about question marks?
Right. Okay, so let me flip it for a little bit. Since you're a manager, I've had only one example that I can think of in my career where I've worked with someone younger than me when I managed an intern who was in college. But you, like you said, you manage several employees that are, on the younger side of millennial. How has that been?
It's fun, actually, because I have also managed people that are way older than me. So here's where it gets sticky. Being the boss of someone who is in your same kind of age bracket is difficult because you naturally are drawn to each other to want to talk and chat and joke and
go to happy hour.
Yeah, go to happy hour, maybe, I don't know, whatever. You're just drawn to them a lot more. So that's where I find it more difficult on my end because I need to like put up a wall right away just to make sure that authority and that respect does not get lost. But when it comes to actually managing them, I think one of the biggest differences is that they are more optimistic. They are overall more energetic in the workplace. And I'm not talking about like an 80-year-old person versus an 18. I'm talking about like a 40-year-old and a 30-year-old. There's still some vigor and excitement in coming to work every day in them, as well as when you teach them new things, they're excited about it,
that's
and
definitely a huge
they're
one.
Not looking at you like I already know this.
Right.
You are actually embarking new knowledge on them, and they appreciate it. When I do the same to my older employees, it's more of a that's not how we do it, or that's not how we were taught in 1985. And it's hard to break that barrier. So I feel like you can mold us a little bit more, and it's nice. Anyways, if it's your employees, anyways, depending on the situation and the career. But for my own case, I feel like I can mold them more, and they're my little minions that I can turn into great leaders and powerful adults. So there are those people that ruin it for everybody that will just move back at home with their parents and be like, I'm going to be a slob kebab on the couch and sell stuff on eBay. And they think that's cool, right?
Right.
But then there's that other half that just wants to go out and conquer everything and do everything. And those are the ones that need to stand out. And I think they will, but we're at a point where everything's still a little convoluted.
But see, then that brings me to another point then, because I think that's what got me into trouble. Is because I am that type that wants to go out there and just reinvent and make everything more efficient and easier and just, make it so that there's more time to be progressive and innovate. And I think that is almost threatening to people who are not like that, and I think that's why this is a story for another podcast, but basically I quit my job because of this is really, I think what it came down to. But
it is, but we can't slow our rolls because of people that are trying to dull our shine. I heard it coming. I heard it happening right there.
that was funny.
But you know what I mean? There's going to be those people that, like I said, we're going to go out, we're going to conquer, we're going to do what we want to do. And just because there's some people that are going to put up blockades, that's not the end of us and what we have to bring to the table. We go somewhere else where they appreciate that and they need that.
Or you make a podcast.
Or you just do this and you chat about it and you drink some wine and you feel good about yourself afterwards because you know what? I got shit to bring to the table.
Yeah, exactly. To all of you guys, continue shining.
Don't slow your roll.
Yeah, so that wraps it up for today. Prinka, thank you so much for being on one of my first episodes.
You are very welcome.
Kickback chat. Haven't decided on the name yet, but thanks so much.
You are very welcome. It was my pleasure to be here on my coffee table, sitting in my kitchen with you.
Great.
Awesome.
All right. Bye.
Bye. We are the generation that's taking over everything. You know?
Yeah.
Just end with that quote.
Peace.
Later.